Hello, everybody. My name is Tim Alfredo, and welcome to DESK Unplugged, Mozambique's #1 English language show that aims at promoting English language learning and, of course, including education in Mozambique, a country that is surrounded by non-Portuguese-speaking countries. The question is, think about a student learning English in Mozambique. What challenges do they face and how can we make it better? That's why every Wednesdays we bring different guests on the show to give us their experience, how they managed to learn English, what challenges they faced, and of course, what successes they have been able to celebrate. And today we are privileged to invite Mr. Sidio Mugaza. Mr. Sidio, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for the invitation.
Mr. Sidio, you grew up you were born in Magwe, which is a village in the northern parts of Mozambique, Tete, and then you moved to Zimbabwe to start your primary education at the age of about was that 8 years old. Tell us, what was your experience at such a very, very young age learning English for the first time?
Yeah, actually, it was quite an interesting experience. Given the fact that I was too young, I didn't know that each country has its own official language.
Okay.
I thought moving into another country was just a business as usual. So, but when I got into Zimbabwe, I found out that there was a totally different language from what we would speak, and as we went to school, there was the introduction of English language, which was like a shadow language. Why do I say shadow? Because the community school would speak the local dialect, which was Shona, which I would understand more because from my Nyungwe background. But now there was another language that was coming.
Okay.
You see, and that was English. And it was like, wow, what are we doing? You see.
So there was no Portuguese. I mean, it's obvious. There was no Portuguese. Before you went to Zimbabwe, had you already started primary education here in Mozambique?
Oh, no, really.
Okay.
Yeah, if we look into the history of our country during that time when I was supposed to be starting school, that was the time when there was mass movement of people from those districts because of the political instability. So I started from zero in the other side of the border.
And how did this affect these changes that you've encountered? I mean, language-wise, how did this affect you?
It affected me a lot. Why? Because we're looking at somebody who is 7 years old. At 7 years old, I wasn't yet fluent in Portuguese itself. Because up to now, it's like those districts that are so remote, Portuguese is rarely spoken as well, you see. So I wasn't good at Portuguese. I was just good at the local language that was Nyungwe, but it wasn't pure Nyungwe.
Okay.
Why? Because the influence from Chichewa and the Shona tribe. So I hadn't, at that time, being at the point where I would say I was strong in which language. So imagine now getting into another country where there were other challenges of their own languages, and I was taken to the midst of that confusion. So it was quite confusing.
So how did you manage to get through? How did you adapt during this critical transition?
Kids play, you see.
Okay.
Kids play. And during that time, it was the friendship part of it where people would just call you, the Moskens, as they would to call us. So during the time when we would play by the roadside in our communities, that's where we would get to know more of the vocabulary of the Shonas. And since they would do the numbers in English, they would count money in English. So this English would come unorganized, you see. You'd go, they will send you to the shop, they will tell you it's 10. So for yourself, you're now speaking English from numbers. So that was it.
I also understand that you were sort of a traveler. I think at around 12 years old, you moved to Cape Town, to South Africa.
Yeah, of course. After I did up to grade 5 was in Zimbabwe.
Okay.
Then my father got an opportunity in Cape Town where he actually took his family, all of us. We went to South Africa, Cape Town, and we were again introduced into a new environment.
Tell me what was different about learning English in Zimbabwe compared to South Africa?
You see, in Zimbabwe, I wouldn't say English was their main language at school. They would teach everything in Shona, whilst the books are saying something in English. Then when I went to South Africa, I found kind of the same thread where we would have Xhosa in the school environment, but whilst we are having the books in English. So it was like the same scenario in Zim and in South Africa.
Like I said, you were always on the move. Sometimes later on, you had to go back to Zimbabwe for secondary education. And I think around this time, you were at the boarding school. At least that's what I understood from the off-air discussion that we were having prior to starting our interview. Tell me about the experience that you had at the boarding school back in Zim.
Okay, before I get to my experience at the boarding school, I would like to just share this for fun.
Okay.
My return to Zimbabwe was not voluntary.
Ah, is it?
My father actually did to expel me from the South African environment.
My goodness.
Because I was, at 12 years, I was now becoming one of the gang members. I was now involved in these activities. So my father saw it wasn't a good environment for me to go.
It wasn't by choice.
Yeah, exactly. So it wasn't by choice. So I was sent back to Zimbabwe, where I would have to stay with nanny relatives, but under the control of my father. So from there, that's when I ended my primary education, and I did very well. And my father was pleased because I was actually redeeming myself now.
Okay.
I was finding myself, and that's where he honored me by putting me at a boarding school now, at the secondary level. So at the boarding school, things were different now. So it was like a school policy that everyone should speak English.
Wow.
Now we're at secondary level.
Okay.
So that one itself.
So that was a big move.
Yeah, that was what actually made me improve more my English. The first year at secondary level was very beneficial.
Well, it's time for us to move into, let's call in our first segment of the show. We call it Etymology Quest. That's a segment where we try to trace back the origins of some of the words that are commonly found in the English vocabulary, but came from other countries. Let's have it. Yes, welcome back. We have this segment, we call it Etymology Quest.
All right.
So we go back and trace some of the words that are commonly found in the English vocabulary or English, let's say, dictionary. But in most cases, we don't realize that these words came from other, let's say, origins or other nations. And the first word is beef. And I want you to guess if you can trace where this came from.
Oh, beef.
Beef.
Okay. Since you said I must guess,
Okay.
let me just say, I think it came from the Latin language, maybe from the southern part of America, South American continent.
No.
Okay.
It's not.
If you,
You
allow
have
me to,
one
to
more guess,
Yeah,
yes?
one more guess. Then it should have come from the European continent, but not from the English community, but around Spain and Portugal.
No, no, no. It came from French, Old French. Yeah, that's where it came
I
from.
wanted to say so, but anyway.
Yeah, let's get another one.
Yes.
Quiz.
Quiz.
Yeah, quiz like in the testing.
The quiz.
Yeah.
The quiz.
And I believe you've used that word quite a lot.
No, we use it a lot, yes, of course, in school. But quiz might be of the Italian.
No, it's not.
No. The letter, okay, quiz.
Quiz.
Can I guess once more? Maybe... No, I wouldn't lie. I am just guessing. It should be French again, maybe.
No, it's not. Well, it comes from Ireland. It's Irish. Yeah. The word quiz comes from the Irish word quizzle, hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, meaning a pulse or vein, which was used in a word play to describe a short written test as a quick pulse or sudden shock. And the final word is robot.
Robot.
Yeah,
yes,
robot.
Of course. Robot. I was going to give it to one of the most technologically advanced countries.
Okay.
Maybe that she's from the Asian continent. If not, then I would give it to the Americans.
No, it's not.
It
is not. It is from Czech Republic.
Interesting.
Well, so that was our segment, Etymology Quest. Let's continue with our discussion here in the studio with Mr. Sidio Mugaza. Mr. Sidio, years later, you earned a bachelor's degree in science and math, in science, specialized in mathematics and biochemistry. How did your English proficiency impact your studies at the university level?
That was... by the time I went for university, I would tell you my English was super. I didn't struggle much because I had improved much. Maybe if I would tell you how I got to have my proficiency improve,
okay.
It was at secondary school level where I took up a lot of activities where I would do some presentation, and it was also a Christian academy where I would be scheduled to do some Bible programs, presenting to the school and some preachings, and all that alone was enough to actually improve my own English. I would be forced to read a lot. And up to the university level, I didn't struggle much about English as a language.
Okay.
It was now okay.
In your bio, you mentioned that you also taught mathematics and science in Maputo. And I'm assuming that these classes were conducted in English language.
That's true. When I did teaching in Maputo at an international school, it was purely an English curriculum. So the mathematics that I taught, the sciences that I taught, I was teaching in English language.
Well, that's wonderful. You're also, you are a man of many different achievements. You're also involved in sports administration as a sports agent, and you've most likely traveled all over the world in different assignments. How did your English proficiency help you establish these connections, these network activities with other people?
Let me tell you that having a basic or a decent English background played a very important role in my life, especially in terms of the opportunities I got. There is a part of my bio that we might discuss it later because there's more to talk, where I got an assignment as an English teacher. Though I didn't train as an English teacher, but because of the level of
Your
proficiency
ability,
I had,
yes.
there, I'm sure we'll get into that. So I was just saying, being from an English background, it actually opened lots of doors from what I was doing at that time and the interaction that I had with the international community, because the industry that I am, it's not locally based. It involves lots of stakeholders that are international or wild. So it would be at any given time, the only person who had the opportunity to cut through the communication barriers was actually Sidio.
Mr. Sidio.
So for someone who wants to get some advice, I would be advising them that learn English and you see things happening. Yeah, sure.
That is very good. Well, it's time for us to have our second segment, which is that's from blunder to wonder. Welcome back to our interview. It's the segment from Blunder to Wonder. Mr. Sidio, from Blunder to Wonder, it's a segment where we try to look back in our English learning process, or I might say language learning process. At times, we realize that there are some certain expressions, words, either that we used to use them in a very, very wrong context, or sometimes even pronounce them without knowing. That years later, we realize that all this long I've been using it in the wrong way. Do you recollect any experience of using something, a word, an expression in English, or either mispronouncing it unknowingly?
There are quite a lot.
Okay.
There are quite a lot, and one of them is like a noun for these animals that fly.
Animals?
Yeah, I'm saying the animals that fly.
Okay.
Because I'm avoiding to say the word itself.
Okay.
So I would tell you that I grew up calling these animals that fly as birds. You see, the bird.
Okay.
You see, it's a noun, a bird. But later on, I found out that that's not the correct pronunciation. It's not a bird, but it's a bird. Okay. Yes. So it's common.
Yeah, that's actually even to this day. I think that's still a vocabulary or a word that still poses some big challenges to people learning English, because they sound very close. They may sound very close, especially if your tongue is not twisted enough to say some of the pronounce some of the English words. So bad, you were making a mistake with the word bird.
Yeah.
All right.
And the other one is question.
Question.
I grew up saying question.
Question.
Yeah, the question mark. I have a question.
Okay.
You see? So, but when as time progressed, I found out that it was not question, but it was actually question.
Okay. Beautiful. Well, so that was our from blunder to wonder. Now, if you have some words that you look back today and wonder how you've managed to go through this experience, you're most welcome to send them to us in our comment section. Welcome back, Mr. Sidio. Looking back in your English language learning process, what was the most turning point in the whole process where you felt like, and I mean, you mentioned that as being a sports person, somebody who's involved in sports and, somehow there were major assignments that were assigned to you because you were the closest person that could fulfill probably this mission because of your language competence. Do you recall any probably other turning point in your life where English was played a major role?
Yes, I definitely do remember. When I got to start teaching English, that's where everything got a turnaround. Why do I say so? That was sometime in 2005, when English was well sought by many companies in Mozambique. So what had happened is that I thought I needed to study more English because I knew now I'm back to Mozambique, where the official language is no longer English. So I didn't want to lose my contact with English language. So I went to this English Learning Institute in Maputo, and I spoke to the director and I said, what is the highest level of English at this institute so that get into that class? I will come maybe once or twice. So once I'm discussing with him, he said, but your English is good. Yes, it's good, but I don't want this English to go because I have no plans of going back to South Africa or to Zim anymore. But once I'm here, I need to have something that he forces me to always speak in English. So if I come and learn here part-time, but he said, no. We are in short of teachers of English. Are you willing to try teach? You see what I'm talking about, turning point. So
you were going there looking for
going there
looking for to be taught,
looking for more proficiency. But he said, no, your English is even at the same level of the people who are teaching here. So we give you an assignment, you get into the class, and that will force you to speak English. And that would be good. So that was a turning point because from the classroom, that's when I started to meet people from different organizations. But the English Institute I was in would have many people from different companies. Even the NGOs would send their people there to get some English. Then I got some interaction with people of different caliber. And that was the biggest turning point that English brought into my life.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Many people struggle with learning new language. Based on your experience, what practical advice would you give to someone who is looking into, attaining this mastery?
This one is the best. I know other people will come and give their own advices. But let me tell you, the best way that we can use to learn English is the same way that is used by kids or by babies when they are born. Take a 0-year-old baby, you put him in China. You speak Chinese, you not even think he was from Mozambique. Put him in Japan, you speak the Japanese language. Put him in Russia, you speak the Russian language. Why is that? Because languages are best learned through acquisition.
Exposure.
You hear. So you get exposed, and that's... So if there is the best way that I can give as an advice to other people willing to learn English, let them get exposed. Let's go into our cell phones, our smartphones. Instead of having your phone in Portuguese language, put it in the English language. You will know that when you want to escolher, you go, it's select, and all those things. Now you're guiding yourself. Get into the programs on the TV, like this program is the best. Come watch it.
Right.
You learn some few things. go to the news like on Al Jazeera, BBC, and all those things. The exposure itself
It's
is
very,
the best.
very, very
Why do I
essential.
say so? Lastly, is because you look, I'm not discrediting our educational system at school in the Ministry of Education. You find out that somebody goes to school, they start learning English at grade 6, grade 7, until Desma Segunda, learning English, but they can't even say a word.
They can't
Then you
speak, yeah.
wonder why. But they would have learned all the grammatic effects of
Structure,
English.
yeah.
They know the pronouns, the adverbs, the adjectives, but they can't express themselves. So, whilst exposure is the best of them, at the end, then you look into the grammatical structure of the language.
You mentioned something about being going to a place to attend a course in English, but then returning as an English teacher at that particular institute. It would be interesting to know what techniques or teaching methods have you managed to sort of develop whilst you were there.
Let me tell you that it is true that you take somebody from England right now, which is a purely English-speaking country. You have him sit on the same desk with a Mozambican, good English-speaking student.
Right.
You will find out that the Mozambican might do better in English as a language than the British.
Okay.
Why? Because as Mozambicans, we are not just learning speaking and hearing. We are learning the structure of English.
Of the language,
So
yeah.
my exposure or my opportunity in teaching English was actually a good school for me. That's where I didn't even know there were what we call articles.
Yeah.
Definite articles, indefinite articles, I did not know. Adverbs of time, you just speak it nicely, but you don't know the structure. So
Yeah.
teaching it actually got me into the details and
Yeah.
the basis of English. That, okay, when I am saying this, it means that in terms of a grammar. So
It's what I like to keep telling people. One of the best ways to learn something is to try to teach it.
Yeah, of
if
course.
you know, if you have the minimum amount of knowledge of that particular thing, try to teach
Try
it
to
somebody.
teach it to somebody.
Yeah, because you won't go and teach someone unless you are confident enough that you know what you're going to deliver.
honest. Do you
You're
know,
going
I
to
didn't know there was a difference between evening and night. Only until when I was teaching, that's when
Yeah.
I knew there is a difference when
Yeah.
you are saying
Good
evening
night and
when
good
saying
evening.
night.
Yeah.
You see, I didn't know the difference between supper and dinner. But all these things you know through teaching.
Right.
So you study, you know all of it. And now, since you are now a proficient English speaking person, you just organize now your English in an orderly manner. You see.
Well, it's time for us to have our third and final segment of the show, and we call this 5 Favs. Let's call in the intro. Here we are. Welcome back to our interview discussion with Mr. Sidio Mugaza. Mr. Sidio, we have this segment. We call it 5 Favs. These are your 5 favorite English-related things, and I'm going to ask you one by one. Number 1 is your favorite English word.
Favorite
English word. Yes, word. I hope I said it correctly. I pronounce it word.
No, of course. It is correct. Not a word as such, but I like the article the.
The.
Yeah.
Okay, the.
It's very, very. It's my favorite.
That's quite interesting.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting that somebody would be very, very interested in an article. Why the?
Good.
What's curious with that?
Because that gives me confidence.
Okay.
Whenever, okay, would you like the apple, or in apple, say the red one,
Okay.
the blue one,
Okay.
the tallest one. It actually gives me that a spirit of saying, I'm sure of what
Okay,
I'm saying.
right.
Yeah? Yeah.
The definite article.
Definite at
The.
home, wherever I'm, it's definite.
Good.
This.
The second of your 5 Fs. What is your favorite English phrase or idiom?
Okay. As I've told you, I had some years in South Africa where the horse breeding and animal husbandry is actually up to now a good practice,
Okay.
cattle ranching and other things.
Right.
So we grew up in the farm area.
In the farming area, yes.
They would plant grass and then they would cut it to make some hay.
Okay.
Dry grass
To feed the
to
animals.
feed the animal during the dry season, you see. So it was always said, make the hay whilst the sun shines.
Make the hay
Hay
whilst the sun still shines. Wow.
Exactly.
What
So
does that mean?
you have to make use of any given opportunity because these opportunities, they might come just once in life. So whenever there's an opportunity for you to do something beneficial,
Grab
do
it.
it. Don't think of tomorrow.
Right.
While the sun shines, make the hay.
They say tomorrow is never promised.
It will never, because it's actually we are growing up. What used to inspire me at my early age is no longer the same here. So there is a time in life where you can make use of the time that you have with your strength, with your knowledge, but this time will go away to come in time when everything will be impossible.
Wow.
So whilst there's still opportunity, use it.
That's a very good one. Make the hay while the sun still shines. Number 4, it's what is your favorite English author or book?
My favorite English author is, strangely, but it's not strange because he's from Africa. That is the late Chinua Achebe. That's a Nigerian author, a renowned author who did lots of works and his novels. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2013. I remember that because he was the greatest author of all times that I've actually enjoyed reading.
Chinua Achebe.
Chinua Achebe.
Right.
Actually, that is a shortcut of his name. It was Alberto Chinua Achebe. So, but he was mostly known as Chinua Achebe.
Okay. What is the last one is what is your favorite English accent?
Okay, my favorite English accent would be very interesting to say is the British accent.
Okay.
Although I can zero imitate it. Yes, it's my best when I hear the English say the English words, the English commands. Okay, I love it. I love it.
I love it too.
Yeah,
I love
sure.
it. Although I can't tell myself which one do I speak when I'm do I use when I'm speaking.
Yeah, our problem now is we mix already.
Yeah.
We mix it from our local dialects.
Yeah, the
way
American,
we
the
way
influence of
learned,
American,
so
British.
it
It's all
ends up being
mixed up. It's a
just
mess.
English.
So that was our last final segment, which is the 5 Fs. Mr. Sidio, it was a pleasure. We are now we've come to the end of our conversation. It was a very, very productive, very fruitful conversation. Good to have you on the show, and we would welcome you anytime you want to be back. And let me just give you the space to say your final words.
I would like to thank you for the invitation. It was very, very a good pleasure to be with you. What I've just discovered during this segment is that I'm sure we can encourage more people who are out there who are still looking for ways to improving their English. We can have them invited and they sit at the round table
Right.
and discuss, and that will help them express themselves and in the public or in the spotlight and other things. So
Like you said, people need an opportunity of exposure to the language.
really, that is so. The last part I would say, Mindcast TV came at a time when I was also wondering if in Mozambique, don't we have some initiative of having a TV channel that will select some time to promote the English language, because English has come to stay. It's not going away. So any programs that are there to encourage people learn and speak English, they're all welcome. And here I'll always be available if any need arises, and also supporting in any way. Thank you so much.
And we are very thankful and happy to know that at least our work is not going unnoticed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that was it, and thank you so much for your time. And to our viewers, just let's remember that education is a collective effort. Whether you are a teacher, you are a parent, a policymaker, remember that together we can change the way how English is taught in Mozambique. Also remember that your words and actions count. If you've enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more future episodes of Chat Desk Unplugged right here on Mindcast TV. Stay safe and stay tuned, of course. Stay curious and keep learning. Ciao, ciao.